This is Ethiopia, one of the hungriest countries in the world. But here, foreign companies are spending billions of dollars to grow food for export. An area the size of Britain has been handed over to corporations in the last 3 years. It's called a land rush. I'm in Ethiopia's remote southwest Gambela region to investigate claims that large numbers of small farmers are being moved off their land by the government. Now, all this land for the next hour of our driving is going to be some kind of farming, intensive industrial agriculture. We're driving west through Karuturi farm, a new Indian venture, where large areas of forest are already being cleared to grow palm oil, rice and sugar. Are you going there? Hello. Hello. It will be one of the largest farms in Africa, but most of the food will be exported. Populations are growing, so this has to be good for the world. But what about Ethiopia's poor? The man in charge is Kamjit Shekon. So how big will this whole farm be?
Phase 1, 100,000 hectares.
After that?
After the second phase, 100,000 plus 200,000.
So 300,000 hectares. And if I started walking at one end, how long would it take me to get to the other end?
On 100,000 hectares is about 121 kilometers.
120 kilometers, that's 80, 90 miles.
90 miles.
That's big.
Yeah.
It's as big as Wales. So will you plant, will you build a town just by here?
Yes, do you see those trees?
Yes.
There will be the town, next camp coming up.
So that will be Camp 2 and that will be 10,000 people?
Maybe 10 to 15,000.
Karuturi says it will build home schools and clinics for as many as 60,000 workers. But on one of their other Ethiopian farms, similar promises made by the government have yet to be fulfilled. In addition, we found they pay most workers under $1 a day. That's well below what the World Bank says is extreme poverty. I think that because you were the first people here, you've got the best land. I think you've got the river access.
We never saw the land.
Yeah? Oh, you never saw it?
They gave it to us, we took it.
Seriously?
Seriously.
You did not even see it?
Yes.
They offered it to you?
They offered, that's all.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, Razak.
This has to be the deal of the century. 1,000 square miles for just £150 a week. Plus, they get tax breaks and roads built for them by the government. Now, presumably, all the trees, all the forests which we see at the moment will have to come down, so you can plant it.
Yes.
Is that inevitable, or is that just...
It's inevitable.
Yeah.
You have to clear this.
Yeah.
Then there has to be a road network for harvesting.
So it's very mechanized, it's very industrialized, it's very precise. Karuturi says their land was sparsely populated and denied displacing local villagers. On the way back to Gambela town, we passed a group of shacks along the side of the road, near where other foreign companies are moving in. This is Kami village, which we think is full of displaced people, but we'll see. Well, these people clearly haven't been here for very long. These are very rudimentary tents. Around 250 people have been living here for 8 months. Chief, thank you so much for talking to me. Thank you very much indeed. Are most of the people here displaced from other areas? Why did they have to move? The government moved these people and told them they would get a health clinic, a school, as well as fresh drinking water. So far, only the foundations have been dug. Okay, these people are pastoralists. They're quite used to moving backwards and forwards across land. What they don't realize is this land may be taken away from them forever. That would be very different for them. I'm going to the state government to find out how many companies have come to Gambela. Hello. And we want to know how many people will be affected by the land rush. We've got 3 maps here in the investment office. This is the extraordinary map because it shows that for the last, for 10 years, 12 years, there's been just about nothing. In 2007, it started going right up. Since then, there have been hundreds, and I've just been told that the total number of investors in Gambela region is 896. Now, that is an extraordinary figure from absolutely nothing only 10 years ago. Kasahun Zerfu is one of the department's senior officials. What countries are they coming from?
India, Saudi Arabia, and China, and so forth.
Can you explain why you are relocating villages?
We relocate villagers to obtain clean water in one place, to obtain medical services.
So the two things are very separate. One is the relocation, the deliberate relocation of villages, and the second thing is the investment by the foreigners, and the two have no link whatever.
There is no link. Yeah.
So it's a coincidence.
Yeah.
That the villagers are relocating.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So the villagers, when they relocate, can they go back to their land?
No.
They can't go back to their land.
Yeah.
So
it
who
is because
takes the land?
Voluntary relocation.
It's all voluntary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why.
Kasahun said as many as 15,000 people are being moved, but at the same time, thousands of square miles is being cleared. Great swathes of Gambella are being ecologically devastated. Carbon emissions will rise and wildlife will vanish. I had been told about a village not far from the Karuturi farm that had been cleared just weeks ago. Actually, the whole of this was the village. So it's not just a few houses which we see left there. All of this was actually a village pretty recently. There's nothing left, they've all gone. And they've left the storage pots. We don't know the name of the village, but we do know that people were here about 5 months ago. Gambella is up for grabs, and foreign investors are not the only ones moving into the region. Wealthy Ethiopians from other parts of the country are also leasing huge areas of land. Okay, we've just stopped the car because we found a small group of people who may have something to say about the burning down of this forest. Many of the villagers we met were too scared to talk to us about what was happening. But one man was willing to speak on condition we disguised his identity. Have you tried to stop the bulldozers? Have you tried to stop them setting fire to the ground? The farmer told me he didn't want to move to a resettlement village. Will they have to forcibly evict you? The man was frightened of being beaten up by soldiers. Some farmers have reportedly disappeared or been killed for speaking out against the government. Do you think you're in danger? Later that day, we returned to Addis Ababa. Ethiopia's government is desperate for development and jobs for its growing population, and you can understand why it wants to attract foreign investment to a country that can't grow enough food for itself. But I still wasn't sure if the land rush in Gambella was in the people's best interests. I put what we'd seen in Gambella to the Minister for Agriculture, Wanda Radmandefro. Minister, when we were down there, we saw a lot of evidence of people having to move because of the investors moving into the area. Can you confirm that, please?
By the way, there is no movement of population.
Minister, with respect, we found many villagers who were frightened, who were worried, who had been told that they would have to move.
It's their choice, either to choose to have these basic services coming to the village, therefore it's based on their willingness. But of course, they have to abandon their previous way of life. You cannot provide any basic services having highly scattered community.
So you have 3 million people, 2.9 million, 2.8 million, who this year will receive food aid from America, from Europe, from wherever, at the same time as you are trying to export large amounts of food and commodities to America and other countries. Is this not sort of rather complete madness?
You said madness, but it is not madness, and it's the correct way.
The government is saying that Ethiopia's poor will only become less reliant on aid if they give up their old way of life, and that large-scale industrial farming in places like Gambela is not just the future, but a development necessity. We've just come out from the minister, and clearly he's hoping for an enormous increase in productivity in farming in Ethiopia. The danger, clearly, is that the companies take advantage of this, that they will grow what they want to grow, and they will sell it to whom they want to sell it, and the real benefit for Ethiopia will never be seen at all.